Hello, welcome to the Hard Reset. What just happened?
What all four of those things have in common? You can get rid of bodies pretty easily in the scrapyard. You can pour them in concrete. You can have building sites where, in the middle of the night, since you own the building site, you can make sure nobody's around, and you basically take the body there and bury it in the dirt. And then they put, a foot of concrete over the top of it. Man, they ain't ever going to find Jimmy Hoffa. He's buried under some, pillars for some building that they built in New Jersey casinos or something.
Well, from what I understand, the poop train is just literally, it's sewage waste. It's not like trash, like household garbage.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you have that much sewage and you can't get rid of it without sending it to another state?
I thought I heard somewhere that basically they have a really hard time with septic systems because you realize the history of New York, right? It was built on a landfill. Like part of
that should be easy.
Yeah, part of the like Manhattan Island or whatever it is was landfill, and they built on top of it. So much to the point where, like early on, they were having buildings sink, and so that's where they started, where they had to literally drill down into the bedrock, and
really?
So like a lot of those buildings literally sit on like these huge concrete pillars, to be able to get it down into the bedrock, and there's just not a whole lot. I mean, here, out, it's like, using the Midwest, for example, it's really easy to do your own septic system and, run your finger system, however much, however, whatever the spec is, 6 feet underground or whatever, go up to like a finger system where it naturally, absorbs back into the ground.
Well, a lot of that is they're getting rid of. So like this area, everybody in this area had to get rid of their
finger systems.
Oh, yeah.
Aren't they doing like the mounds or something now? Is like the new hotness.
What's that?
They have to build a mound or something over the top of it. I don't know what that's all about.
No, actually, the tanks had to be caved in, pumped out, caved in. Property owners had to pay for that. Then on top of that, they brought in, basically, they put tanks back in.
Yeah.
And they pumped them out through like a 2-inch line or something to like a collection system. And it only gets rid of the liquid waste. So once the tank gets full, you have to pay to have somebody come and pump that tank out. The liquid waste gets shot off to some other
probably
sewage system.
Yeah.
It's a big mess. And then on top of that, what makes it even worse is if you don't do this. So like our home, our plumbing works just fine. But unfortunately, then we had to pay to have, and they put the tank wherever they want. So they could have put the tank right beside our other tank.
Yeah.
So we had to pay to have that caved in. But they put it clear on the other side of the property. So we had like the world's longest sewage run we had to make. On top of that, it didn't matter to them the grate. So technically we should have probably built up our backyard by at least brought in enough soil to bring our backyard 3 foot up. So
wow.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing was just crazy. And then what they did, which was even better, is so then they send you the sewage bill.
For recycling the liquid.
So now
waste.
You've got to know it's to pay for a tank, pay for electrical ran to it. And then of course, just a regular, which is funny too, it's not metered. So a family of 1 versus a family of 5 pay the same thing.
That sounds like the
whole thing's just it's a big con job. And then they raised the rate. So it went from like $80 a month to like 90 or 95.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how often you use it. It doesn't matter if you even live there.
They'll
condemn the property and they will repo it.
So whoever's paying the property taxes also probably has to pay.
So now this is the crazy part. So we know a guy that owns probably half the town. He doesn't have all those rented out, but he had to go through, cave them all in.
Oh.
And so for each property that he has to pay the same fee, whether it's rented out or not. So let's just say you've got 4 or 5 houses in the middle of a renovation.
Is this like
and we pump it over
across county lines? And
it's only the liquid. The solids stay here.
Somebody's getting some kind of kickback or whatever.
Yeah,
it has to be.
Yeah, there were so many people mad about it. But there was other weird thing too, is if you owned X amount of acres, then you wouldn't have to do it.
I'm glad I own like 14 acres.
Well, never. But anyway, said they did the same thing to where they went in and said, nope, everybody has to get on city sewage. So making it a public utility, and you have to do it. If not, we'll take your home.
And well, see, the problem is though, is I would take that to court. You have to. People don't realize that they work for us. We don't work for them. That stuff has to be passed into laws.
Well, the town council approved it, but the town council, obviously not everybody was there. And then the people on that board they've got some sort of
interest in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. There's a lot of people that.
Well, that's the problem is they're not voting out enough people.
They're not. And I definitely, I would not have been as passive as most of the people in this town has been about it. It's like, there's no way, especially if you're going to, all right, you better start metering that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to pay the same rate that, the family with 10 people is paying because, they're using more. So like if you live in the city, normally your sewage bill it's going to be based on your water bill.
Yeah.
All right. So you're seeing this much water back down that has to go to the sewage plant and then it gets cleaned, which makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. You got to understand how that chemicals works. and people to do it, whatever.
But here they're like, oh, that doesn't even matter. We're just going to charge you, $100 a month and you're going to be.
We need less government.
They were like, well, here's the stupid thing. They got grants. They got government grants to put this in. Was supposed to pay for this, but they couldn't. This is what they said. Well, we couldn't get the government grant because we didn't have enough money up front. And that's why we're charging you.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the whole thing was just, and again, I don't understand. I would not have went with it.
No, absolutely not. I would have got a lawyer and been like, good luck with that.
Yeah, I think the whole town should just
especially if you had a working septic system that was to code. Who made the determination all of a sudden that it's no longer viable?
From what I understand, what happened was there was a house in town where their septic had messed up, probably needed pumped out.
Yeah,
they didn't get it pumped out; it backed up, made this big crap pond in their front yard or something.
Yeah,
somebody got mad about you're contaminating the ground. And my drinking water, because most people are on well also.
Yeah.
So, I get that argument. But then it was like, okay, you know what we'll do? Everybody has to get on city sewer. Well, we don't have our own treatment plant, so we'll pump it over to another place.
Call that mass punishment in the Army, where one person would mess up and you would just punish everybody for it. Just and it was basically to make sure that you never did it again, kind of thing. Because everybody would now hate you. And they would all be watching you or whatever.
Now, this is probably a vacant house is being rented and tenants never even probably noticed or even said anything about it.
Yeah.
They're probably just happy they didn't have to go mow their yard because half the grass died from the sewage. Who knows?
Honestly, that's,